Hi guys, good morning. Here are some of the things that have been going on in my mind. First of all, I watched Baahubali, and 7 years after it released, I watched it 4 days back. And first, let me tell you why I didn't watch it in 2015. I saw the trailers and I thought the CGI isn't that great because I compared it with Avengers, of course. And if the CGI is not realistic, if the CGI gives away the fact that it's CGI, then obviously it's not perfect CGI, which in the case of Avengers, it was mostly believable. But now I decided to watch it, first of all, because RRR has been such a great hit, especially among other people in the world, not just Indians. That made me watch RRR. I made my father watch RRR. Then I decided, okay, let's check out Baahubali. What's the hullabaloo about this movie? So first, it came up on my YouTube feed. The music part, the track called WKKB. It's probably short form for a long Telugu word, I think. The audio of which I edited with the unveiling of the new Ashokan pillar line stump emblem. That music impressed me so much. Just that music made me watch it, among the other reasons. But now I didn't bother that much about the CGI because I thought, see, the movie is made on a $75 million budget. I'm comparing it with movies that are on 120 million budgets and more. Plus, it's not just about budget in the sense that it takes time. For example, I learned that all the waterfall scenes in Baahubali, they took 2 years to create accurately. Although it's not 100% accurate, you can still tell it's a fake CGI waterfall, but it still took a lot of work. So I thought, why not forgive that fact? Why not forgive the fact that we are a poor country and it's a poorer film industry than Hollywood? So what would be my rewards in that case? In that case, I realized that what S.S. Rajamouli was trying to do, his thoughts, his plans, those things are impossible to create without CGI. And if you want to make it perfectly with perfect CGI, it's going to take about 10 years. Because it's such a CGI dependent film. How are you going to make... unless you have a James Cameron level budget, in which case you maybe create the entire set and do everything real. Even that's not going to work. It's an impossible task, essentially. So I started watching Baahubali. And then for the last 4 days, my life has changed. I have been watching Baahubali 1 and 2 essentially in loop, mainly Baahubali, not the entire movie, of course. I have been going forward, fast forwarding, and watching the best parts that work with the music. Now, first, the music, man, I don't know if other people have been talking about it that much. People mainly talk about the songs to some extent, the CGI, some compliment it, the story, etc. I know all that is great, but this is the best background music I have heard in Bollywood. Not Bollywood, in Indian movie history. I think the other great movie would be Lagan to some extent. I can't remember any other much. Okay, Uri is a great example of great background music. But Baahubali's background music, what is this level that S.S. Rajamouli and Keeravani are playing on? This is like the rest of India is playing Gilli Danda and they are playing international level cricket. This is just out of the world. And let me tell you why it makes me feel like a bigger loser for not having watched this movie in the cinema hall. Because in 2013, Man of Steel released. And Man of Steel's background score changed my life. And then from 2013 to 2022, I have been listening to basically background music of all great movies, almost 24/7, every moment that I'm awake. And this makes me pissed off and this movie released just in 2015, 2 years after Man of Steel, which means Cream was probably making it already when Man of Steel released. So the movie that I worship, Man of Steel, that is the greatest background score in the world, Cream had already created something on that level and I didn't watch it. And let me tell you, in one sense, Baahubali is actually better than Man of Steel. Because I think in Man of Steel, the background music is better than the overall movie. If you took out the movie, it would work pretty badly. Without Hans Zimmer, Man of Steel wouldn't work that great. So in my opinion, let's say Man of Steel is here, and Man of Steel's music is here, And Man of Steel, the movie without the music, is here. So the music kind of drags the movie up to this level. But in the case of Bahubali, I think the movie and the music both work and go on top of over Man of Steel, because I would argue that without this movie, without these visuals, without this story, even the music doesn't work. I don't think I would listen to this background score just without seeing the movie ever. I think I like the music. The music has been attached to my mind because of the things I have seen while that music was playing. And the story would not work without Cream's music, Keeravani's music. I don't think, let's say, who are my favorite background music composers? A.R. Rahman, Cream, and the guy, a Marathi guy, a Marathi man. He hasn't done much Bollywood other than some of the Anubhav Sinha movies, Article 15 and all. He does. Mangesh Dhakre, yeah, check out his background scores. He's an amazing composer. So among these three people, I think the best background score composers are in India, and I think to some extent Indrajit Dasgupta of Tollywood, of Bengal Tollywood. But none of them would be able to pull off a Baahubali type music, and Cream does that. But Cream's music would not work without the movie. The movie would not work without the music, and both of them explode together. And one more thing I haven't seen anyone talk about. Maybe it was talked about when it released. But have you guys seen Lion King? I am a huge Lion King fan. Lion King background score is also one of my probably favorite of all time. I'll have to decide between Man of Steel and Lion King. But this is essentially an Indian adaptation of Lion King. And if you must know, Lion King is an adaptation of Hamlet, which I haven't read, Shakespeare's Hamlet. So if any of you guys have read Hamlet in your school or college, let me know how similar is Hamlet to Baahubali, or how similar is Hamlet to Lion King. Because I just know that Lion King is an adaptation of Hamlet, but since Lion King is not exactly copied in Baahubali, so there will be some differences. Let me know in the comments what are the differences. Now, Baahubali is an Indian adaptation of Lion King. It's not a rip-off. So what I mean to say is, if the makers of Lion King, if Walt Disney sued Baahubali for ripping off their story, they would not win in a court battle. They would not be able to prove it because there are so many differences. But the essential motive is pretty Lion King. And I'll tell you, I think S.S. Rajamouli did it consciously because he has some stark and direct references, sort of tributes to Lion King. For the main example being, in Lion King, the lion that is kind of the role of Raja Bhallal Dev actually has a scar over his face, and his name is Scar, and Raja Bhallal Dev has that mark on his face. Then Simba's mother, who is basically Anushka Shetty's character, she was also imprisoned when Simba was away from the nation, from the kingdom. And there are two other references that come to my mind, which are directly Lion King oriented. Is that when Bahubali Junior is entering the kingdom, and the music plays, and the horse breaks through a sort of mud wall, and then the horse runs away to the kingdom. We see it from behind, that Bahubali is running away with the horse. That scene is exactly there in Lion King. The Simba, the lion, is returning on a long road in a desert, and he's going back to his kingdom. That scene is a direct reference. And the very next scene is that thunder falls on a dry tree and it catches fire. That is also an exact scene from Lion King, because that sort of dramatized the situation, that the prince has come back and maybe now something good will happen. So these are the other references to Lion King. Now, bringing up another aspect of the music. See, what is the chief thing that makes the background music of Baahubali awesome? That would be the brass section, the trumpets, horns, those things. Instruments that are made of brass and played from the mouth. Those are called brass section in an orchestra, in a Western classical orchestra. And the percussions, the heavy drums that are all the kinds of drums that are playing. There are taikos playing, toms playing, tambales playing, boobams, high taiko, low taiko, all sorts, and timpanis, of course. Lots of percussions are playing. I would like to compare this with the recent Prithviraj Chauhan movie's song, Harihar. Harihar's song had really impressed me from the very beginning because of the loud, epic percussions that were playing. So many people played in that song. Dipesh Verma, who is one of the best percussionists in Bollywood, he and his team has played those percussions. But it always reminds me every time I hear this song that it's not really heavy. The bass is somewhat lacking. And I think it somewhat is because Bollywood has an obsession with clean mixing that does not have too much muddy low ends. Let me tell you that mixing, as for sound engineers, mixing low end is a very tough job. So that's one thing you should compare to Bahubali's percussions. That Prithviraj song's percussions are not as heavy as Bahubali and not remotely as heavy as other Hollywood background scores. And why is that? I thought because of software samples that were used, that are always used by Hans Zimmer, that he blends software drums with real percussions played by real people. I think that works to Bahubali's benefit. That works to Hans Zimmer's benefit, and we are used to hearing that. That's why it in my ears, the Prithviraj song kind of seems hollow. Even though so many percussion players are playing, it does not seem like my chest is bursting with energy and all. I know that people are working hard, but it does not hit me here. But Bahubali hits me here for the entire fucking 3 hours. And I would probably go ahead and say Bahubali 1 is probably now the best Indian movie I've ever seen. Up till 5 days back, my favorite Indian movie has been Gangs of Wasseypur, but that's 1 and 2 combined. So that's technically cheating because you can't combine 1 and 2 and call it one movie. But that's how I thought of it. I couldn't say that Gangs of Wasseypur 1 is the best movie or the 2 is the best movie. But in the case of Bahubali, I can clearly say that Bahubali 1, I liked it a lot more than Bahubali 2. And that's not because Bahubali 2 is not as good as Bahubali 1. Just today I was talking to 2 of my friends, because now I've been telling it to all my friends who have been telling me about Bahubali all these years, that dude, I watched Bahubali 4 days back and what an insane movie. I should have watched it in theaters. Now, both of my friends told me that they liked Bahubali 2 better. And I was pretty surprised. But then I realized I think I like Bahubali 1 because of the number of insanely awesome scenes with the music that I can go and fast forward and watch. I think the number of such scenes are more in Bahubali 1 than in 2. Let me tell you, for the last 5 days, every moment that I'm a little free, maybe I'm taking a break from work, maybe I've just woken up, going to sleep, while brushing my teeth, while working out. These are some of the scenes I'm repeatedly watching. One is the song with when he carries the shivling on his head. Then the scene when he jumps in the water with the shivling and the shivling sort of comes up from the water. That scene, there's no words to describe. You know, like Rishi Aurobindo says in his book, there are some inexplicable realities, and especially because we don't know Sanskrit anymore. Maybe that language had more words we could use to describe these things, but that thing is an inexplicable reality. I can't tell you what it feels, and even though I'm not a religious guy, it makes me realize that what it must have been for people who are actually religious and actually believe in Lord Shiva and actually are worshippers of Lord Shiva. What that scene might have been for them in the theater for the first time they were seeing in 2015, the shivling gradually rising up from the water. Oh, what a beautiful scene. And that song itself, Kailash Kher's voice. Okay, the second scene is in the chorus of the song Dhivara. Dhivara, that song. That song gives me Lion King vibes very much because of the visuals. He goes inside the jungle is kind of colorful. Those are sort of Lion King tributes. And the chorus of that song, I don't like the female part as much, not as much as the chorus. It's a pretty good song, but the chorus, the Dhivara lines, Dhivara, I forgot the lines. I was trying to learn that line. And incidentally, today I was talking with my mother about this language, since she studied in a Bengali medium school. So they were taught Sanskrit a bit in their school. So I asked, do you remember some Sanskrit? Tell me what are these words, because they kind of seem Bengali, because Bengali is obviously a regional Prakrit version of Sanskrit. So Dhivara, in Bengal we pronounce it as Dhibor, which means a fisherman. So today, after learning those lyrics, I realized, okay, so essentially what Rajamouli meant was that Bahubali got adopted by these local tribesmen and fishermen. Essentially, they were fishermen. It wasn't clear to me otherwise, because they are not shown fishing. They are not explained that, yeah, we are fishermen. But that line gives you a hint that basically these are fishermen that we are talking about. Then the next scene I'm repeatedly watching on loop for the last 4 days is the entry of the Mahishmati kingdom, when it's sort of a drone shot, and SS Rajamouli does this repeatedly in both movies, is that it's a completely CGI shot, every drone shot over the Mahishmati kingdom, but the camera is slightly shaking, so you get the vibe that you are either watching it from a drone shot, or you are a bird yourself and you are watching it while flying over the kingdom, and that deliberate shake gives such a great vibe. But then it introduces the Mahishmati kingdom to us with that great song Mahishmati, and that's essentially the first time I've gotten a great large view of an ancient Indian kingdom. Why couldn't other directors do this? Today Pratik Boradkar is his surname, right? Or Pratik Borade, the film reviewer, whom I follow really a lot. He was bringing up a great point in one of his reviews, that imagine if Yash Raj really wanted to glorify Indian culture, what they could have done with the amount of money they have. And let me tell you, I've reached a conclusion that the non-Bollywood industry that we are calling now the pan-Indian cinema, that essentially is Indian cinema. Bollywood is not Indian cinema. Bollywood is Bollywood cinema. Bollywood is the leftover colonialized version of our thoughts. But imagine who the fuck stopped in the Bollywood film directors from creating such a scene. I'm 31 years old. It's 2022, and the movie was made in 2015, but it took, in 2015 Indians got the first large view, a cinematized view of their ancient kings and their ancient kingdoms of the past. What rubbish is this? What is this, a joke? This is hilarious, and this is shameful. Then the next scene is obviously the scene I talked about earlier, the scene where Baahubali is entering on a horse and returning to the kingdom, and the way Anushka Shetty looks. And let me tell you another thing. Anushka Shetty, I have never seen any of her movies. I thought she's some random commercial actress who got into acting because of her good looks, and she can't really act as a theatre person, because I come from a intellectual society background, so it's my birthright to shit on people. But anyway, Anushka Shetty proved me wrong again. Even Anushka Shetty, like among other things, I got proved wrong on her acting skills. Every time she has given that impression, right? Sometimes when she's tied up in shackles, when she looks at Baahubali, when she senses that Baahubali is entering, then when she repeatedly looks at Bhallal Dev, when Baahubali's that imaginary statue is coming up. I'll get to that scene later. All those scenes are so great. And one another thing I liked about Anushka Shetty is that scene, which is the last credit line scene in the Baahubali 1, which is essentially the introduction for her character in Baahubali 2, when it's entirely slow motion, and that's so Japanese anime style. Essentially, SS Rajamouli cinemas are live action anime. So, and the hair is sort of flowing. What a great expression she gives. And let me tell you one more thing that Anushka Shetty really impressed me on, especially in comparison to Tamanna Bhatia. Tamanna Bhatia is a great dancer. I saw her, she has great fitness, and in the Dhivara song, her hips were moving really smoothly, which shows that she's a great dancer and has good fitness. But in the sword fighting scene, Tamanna Bhatia is cringe-worthy. I can't look at her because I'm so used to watching good, well choreographed action scenes and good sword fights. So, when Tamanna Bhatia's scene came up with her stupid sword fighting scene, I did not get bothered by it, because I know Indian actresses are just some good looking women who have got into acting because they are good looking. So I don't expect much from them. Then Anushka Shetty again proves me wrong on this. In Baahubali 2, she has such great sword fighting scenes. Her wrists move so good, and Tamanna Bhatia almost couldn't pick up the damn sword. So Anushka Shetty has actually done some good training for the sword. And Katappa, the man who has played Katappa, even his sword fighting scenes are so great. Such great wrist movements. And then, of course, is what I think the most audience-wise, from the perspective of an audience, the most satisfying 2.5 minutes in the history of Indian cinema. When Baahubali stops that statue, prevents that statue from falling, takes up the rope, walks, and in Bhallal Dev's head, the symbolical image of his inferiority complex is described with that gigantic statue of Baahubali behind him. That scene is impact after impact after impact for the entire 2.5 minutes. So first of all, the music. That music is the best soundtrack piece in the entire movie, because it starts with that. Yeah, it starts with a lot of kids singing, and then it starts with gigantic brass sections. It's called Brahm in musical technical terms, BRAAMs. It's called Brahms because Hans Zimmer kind of made it famous when he used it for Inception. Inception's it has repeatedly used that in the entire Inception movie. The brass section, the entire brass section, trumpets, horns, contrabassoons, all of them play together, and that's why it's called a Brahm. The sound is called Brahm. So anyway, it starts with a Brahm. I've never heard such use of Brahms in Indian movies other than Baahubali. Maybe they are doing some now. So it starts with those Brahms, then gets to the kids singing, and then when Baahubali takes off that mask, and the old man looks at him, and then that music starts. The percussion that plays behind it, it's so thick and heavy and fat, and that melody is so great, and that creates such an impact. I got blown away from almost my chair, that the impact of that scene. And then again, the main impact of the sequence is given, almost second biggest impact is given by Anushka Shetty's expression when she looks at an Bhalal Dev and thinks that yeah, you're fucked, my son has come. Such a scene is there in Lion King as well, and the melody that's going on behind that scene, that I hope I don't get copyrighted because I sang this part. Oh, shit. Anyway, but and then the biggest impact. I thought, wait, what's happening? What's the statue behind that? And it's gradually building up, and I'm getting more confused. Wait, did someone go ahead and secretly make a Baahubali statue behind Bhalal Dev statue? And then I realized what a great expression Rana Daggubati gives there. He looks away, he's pissed off, he can't hold his anger, but he's an inferior scoundrel anyway, and his inferiority complex is symbolized with that big statue. What a great idea by S.S. Rajamouli. What a great idea. What's going on in his mind? See, we have, as Indians, have always seen symbolic representations, right? Whenever a song and dance sequence starts, it's basically a symbolic representation of what's going on in his mind. Even the song Dhivara in the movie, because the person is thinking that I'm romancing with a heroine. Now Rajamouli uses that concept, that concept that's usually used for song and dance and romantic scenes. He uses that same concept and applies it to further the story in a non-romantic context, in a more violent and aggression situation. And that's what I was thinking even for RRR. See, I liked RRR, but I don't like it as much as Baahubali, because I have a problem with unrealistic action, and especially because after I started watching MMA, when I was a WWE fan, I used to like all sorts of action movies. But after getting into MMA, since I now know what actual fights look like, and I analyze them heavily, now I can't just wrap my heads around fake action. But even without such commercial action, even without that, RRR is such a great movie. It has such a great story. It doesn't laugh at heroic acts like Avengers does. Pratik Borade has been saying it, and all the white people who have been reviewing RRR have been saying this, that this is the fucking thing we wanted from Hollywood. Hollywood got so arrogant that they started shitting on their own style, and therefore indirectly shitting on people who have supported that style. That's why I can't stand Deadpool. What is this nonsense? You are laughing at the entire genre of action superheroes. And RRR, even though is made in an exactly similar fantastical way, it takes itself seriously. It's not for jokes. It's not for fun. NTR is not going to land and then laugh at the other hero and say, "Ha, see, we are kind of funny action heroes." That's not what's going on. I want to look at it as if it's real. So there are so many moments in RRR that work even if that movie didn't have any loud catchy music and loud and insane action. So two scenes come to my mind from RRR. See, firstly, the scene where the guy throws some coins and then takes away the daughter. That scene has to be a shock to everyone in the world, no matter what your cultural background, economic background, and there's no loud action involved, there's no loud music involved. That scene, just the direction and script writing, the entire situation that Rajamouli built up, that situation hits you like that. It hits you the same way any action scene by Rajamouli hits you. And that's what's great about RRR. It's not dependent on that action. Maybe you will go to watch it because you like the action in the trailer, but you will be much more fulfilled even other things because of things other than the action. And the next scene that comes to my mind is that in the very next scene, when the car is taking away the daughter, the mother is chasing the car, and then the camera shows the British officers, and we hear a loud thud noise. What happened in that thud? The mother got hit by the car. So the audience is entirely confused, and we know what's happening. We realize that, oh fuck, did she get hit by the car? But Rajamouli is not showing us. He's letting us know without showing this. This is such brilliant filmmaking. This is not catchy action dependent, and I'll tell you, this is what Bollywood will screw up the moment they try to get into Rajamouli's territory. They think that RRR and Baahubali has become a hit because of such action, or they will think that it has become a hit because of the nationalistic vibes that these movies give. And Bollywood is made up of dumb fucks, and they will use this as a formula and think of these movies in isolation. They will not understand Rajamouli's identity. They will not understand what Rajamouli has tried to do with these movies. They will not understand you and me, why we like these movies. They are going to pick up and choose random good things from the movie, and they are going to use those random things to put it randomly in different movies. So one movie they will make with such great action, and that will flop, and they'll think, oh, why did it flop? And then in some movies they'll throw in some nationalistic dialogue, and they'll think that now everyone's going to watch it. They're going on repeatedly making stupid decisions like that. They don't understand what makes these movies work because they are so detached from society. When was the last time these see, who are the guys making those movies? They have all the beginners in those in the Bollywood industry. They are either all colonialized people in their minds, or if they are not colonialized, they have absolutely zero voice in the scene of Bollywood. And I don't blame it like a communist that, oh, why aren't these guys being given the voice? I'm pointing out the fact that they are not being given the voice. I don't want that now someone forcefully topples Yash Raj and now Marxist unionists come and give voice only to the unionized people. I mean to the Indianized people. That's not what I'm saying. Let Bollywood reach its demise on its own. When something's going on a decline, just chill and watch like Narendra Modi does. I'll be digressing a bit here. I keep making this point to the one right-wing friend I have. All my friends are left-wingers. That, Narendra Modi knows all the history that I know now about India. Narendra Modi knows all the history Sitaram Goel knows. Because he grew up in the era when Sitaram Goel was criticizing Atal Bihari Vajpayee for being socialist. So, but Narendra Modi didn't come and immediately change the history books. And I'll tell you what that did. That left the space for people like me to learn this on my own. From people like Sanjeev Sanyal. So when did that happen? 2021. Narendra Modi came in power in 2014. So it maybe took 7 years. But let me tell you this. If as a left-winger and as a liberal, if Narendra Modi had come and thrust these syllabuses down my throat, I would never be interested in learning it actually. It would be forced. That's the difference between China and India. That's the difference between the kind of governance Narendra Modi, I'm not Narendra Modi Bhakt, but what's appreciable needs to be appreciated. And this should be reminded to Prakhar Gupta as well. But this is the difference. If Narendra Modi had thrusted, it would not work. But he's not thrusting. He's chilling. And he's letting the things take course on their own. And people are taking up the mantle. Pratik, Borade, Sanjay Dixit, these people are educating. Everything can't happen from the government. And that is what China doesn't get. And that is what Prakhar Gupta thinks India will do. But Indian government is actually not doing that. It is depending on YouTubers a lot. Maybe not consciously or subconsciously, I don't know. But that's the general flow of the Indian society that we are going in. Okay, by order, I forgot to mention one scene which was really impactful. Is the scene where Katappa asks Dev Sena to run away with him, and those twigs fall off from her hand, and the camera zooms suddenly to Devsena's face, and then that music comes. Yeah, again a lot of kids sing in a voice and create a melody like, and that scenes gave me so much impact. And again I was like, whoa, what is this, a horror movie now? Why is she looking like that? Such great moments of impact. That's what make you remember such movies. See, it's like reading a book. If you read a book and you think you'll remember every line, every page, that's not going to happen. That's why it's best to either read countless books on one topic if you really want to grasp the topic, or read the same book multiple times. You'll never remember the entire book by seeing it once, by reading it once, but you'll remember 2-3 things from the book. So why will you come out of the hall and think that Baahubali was a great movie? Because these 5-6 gigantic impactful scenes, which are like 1 or 2 in number in other movies. Baahubali 1 has so many such scenes. And then I learned that scene with Baahubali statue in front of, behind Bhalladev statue, that was the scene right before the intermission. And that even pissed me off and made me sad even more. That, oh my god, imagine being the people in the crowd in 2015 when it's the first time they're watching a film called Baahubali and they're coming out of the theater, and that's the scene that has lasted their impression for the intermission, and that's the scene that they're going to talk about in the intermission. What an impact that is. And the last scene, of course, is the second best scene in my opinion, in terms of gelling with the music, is when Katappa kills him, and that's the music. I can't get it out of my mind. It's become my life, that music. And then the scene goes on. Maybe some people walked out of the theater. Some people who stayed back, they realize later on what was happening. Okay, Katappa is walking out. Okay, Devsena is being shown. Oh shit, that's her look in the next movie. And then the final impact. Da-da, da-da. And that's when the senior Baahubali walks in. And then SS Rajamouli's stamp comes on. What a great way to end a movie. See, this is my stamp. I am SS Rajamouli. I like these unapologetic little narcissism things. This is not harmful. This is innocent, harmless boasting of your skills. And then it shows 2016 it's coming. Now, with that scene, I realized why Baahubali 2 became the greatest hit of all time. Because if someone comes out of the theater with that scene, and then they watch it 2-3 times, and then they tell other people, watch this after the movie goes away from theater, and then they download it from torrent and watch that last scene, obviously everyone will think, no, I have to watch part 2. And there's one scene from Baahubali 2 that falls into this category that I'm repeatedly watching and has great music. Is the scene where they go to Kuntala Kingdom for the first time. The track called Halala Halala. Halala Halala. And that scene with such great colors, the way they showed nature and the Kuntala Kingdom, again from a drone shot. Man, who stopped these richest producers in Bollywood from doing this? Why couldn't they have shown this? What a great scene with such great music. So anyway, that was my kind of review for Baahubali 7 years after it released. Okay, I forgot to mention one thing. Even if I had watched it in 2015, I probably would not like it, because back then I was a pretty far left socialist, communist, and I became an economic right-winger only in 2018 and an Indic kind of thinking person in 2021. So I would probably hate the movie because it showed so many Hindu symbols and Janeu and mention of the Kshatriya caste and all. I would criticize all of that. I would dislike the movie and hate the movie for promoting Hindu fascism. And I'm glad in a way that I didn't watch it back then. I'm glad I watched it now. It gives me a different kind of an impact. Okay guys, I'm sorry I forgot to mention another point. See, what I've noticed is that the one thing that has been common among all the Americans that have reviewed this movie is that they are saying that they didn't know such harsh things happened. When they are reviewing RRR, that is, they are saying they had no idea this shit happened in India. And I can understand if the British people are not taught this history, but even Americans, even they don't know this. What were our intellectuals and academics doing for the last 75 years? But all of them know about caste. All Americans. Everyone knows about caste, that casteism is a huge problem. No matter what Facebook group you go to, no matter what the topic, The first time you bring up India or Hinduism, the first response is caste. This is insane. This shows how disingenuous the entire leftist ecosystem is. Every American knows about India and its caste problem. Not one of them knows that such brutalities happened in India. This is brand new information that oh my god, British people beat you up so badly. And they're saying, yeah, it's kind of a fictional movie. Well, I hope someone explains to them that yes, the story is fictional. The beating up of Indians is not fictional. That has happened everywhere. What's fictional about that? So understand that. Everyone knows about caste. And wait, there's this white guru type of guy who came on, I don't know whose podcast, I don't remember. Even he was saying he grew up in Holland. No, he's from Holland, he grew up in US, I think. I don't remember. And when Christian missionaries used to come to their school to talk about the different lands they have visited, the exotic lands, the first thing Christian missionaries used to tell them is that India is a very poor country, they have a caste problem that's holding the country back. So, wait, I'll get into another topic about sociology and English literature, and there we will discuss this in a little more detail. Okay, and guys, there's one more thing about Baahubali that for which S.S. Rajamouli deserves huge amounts of adoration and love and respect. See, what's common between Baahubali 1, 2, Uri and RRR? All these movies are gigantic hits without depending on the objectification of women. Uri does not have Uri and RRR does not have one single shot of a woman's boobs or cleavage or navel or butt. And Baahubali has to some extent because of those song sequences, and even those are actually very apt for the story, because back then Indian women used to wear those clothes. It's after Islamic invasions that our views of women changed. See, I'll give you one example. Look at this. This is a folk art in Bengal from a place called Krishnanagar. This describes some local Janjati communities and their trade, and such a woman wears a dress like this. This is essentially what Indians used to wear. It's a goddamn hot country. What else would we wear? Even this is too short. This actually should be up here. So, the fact that Tamanna Bhatia showed her tummy in the first movie, I don't think that means that Baahubali was depending on Tamanna Bhatia's stomach for the movie becoming a hit. But other than that, all of these movies are almost essentially gigantic hits, absolutely without the presence of women's bodies being shown in a sexual nature. What's also common between these movies is that all of these movies are hated by leftists, the people who are talking 24/7 about women's commodification, objectifying women's bodies. All of them hate movies that have become gigantic, enormous hits without objectifying the women's bodies. Now, another point that Rajamouli needs to be hugely appreciated for, and I don't think anyone has done that other than Rajamouli, only the director of KGF to some extent, is the depiction of men's bodies. See, it used to happen up till the era of Sunny Deol a little, that Sunny Deol, Sanjay Dutt, they were just gigantic muscular guys with not much abs and popping veins. Before that, they used to not work out at all, like Amitabh Bachchan's physique. I wonder if he has done a push-up in his entire life. Maybe he has done for keeping slim. But that their slimness of both female stars and male stars is largely dependent on their diets, as not as much their workouts. Now, there is a thing called aesthetic fitness and functional strength. If you want more details on that, please watch my video called Indic Training Systems versus Western Training Systems, where I have discussed this a little more elaborately. But what Rajamouli shows in both RRR and Baahubali is that men who are strong don't have such distinguished six-pack abs that they almost look like eight-pack abs, veins all over their bodies, insanely unbelievable and pointlessly unrealistic muscles that make you believe, wow, who the fuck is this? Like Shahid Kapoor's physique, John Abraham's physique, that's so meaningless. No one relates to that. I think only people who go to gym maybe relate to that a little, because when I was in high school and I used to go to the gym, I used to relate to that. Now I do only functional strength workouts. freehand workouts. So what you have to remember is that if a man actually looks like that, they are not going to last 5 minutes in an actual fight, because their muscles are not designed to withhold any gigantic physical trauma, or work with too much lung endurance and with stamina. But if you have functional strength, you are going to have the fighting skills and endurance skills, but you're not going to have a good looking physique. Now, some may argue that some MMA fighters, a lot of them, not all of them though, a lot of them do look like great aesthetic fitness models when they get into a fight, but that's only because they are cutting their weight from their natural weight from about 20-30 pounds just to be in the same weight class as their opponent. That's a long story. But if you want more details, check out my video called Indic Training Systems. But other than that, it's almost a guarantee that if a person who looks like John Abraham, he is not going to last in a fight. But Prabhas's physique in Baahubali, and both the NTR and the other Ramcharan, both of their physiques in RRR is, first of all, absolutely believable. Second of all, they do have bulky muscles. Their deltoids are showing. When he's fighting with the tiger, the veins are popping here, but only to a little extent. That's so believable. Do you know what it takes to look like John Abraham? John Abraham doesn't look 24/7 like that. They have to be hydrated to a very heavy extent until 2 days before the photo shoot or the scene. Then they have to stop drinking water for at least 24 hours or even 48 hours. Some bodybuilders do for their shows. They stop drinking for 48 hours. You have to be dehydrated as fuck to look like that. And if a person is dehydrated to that extent, they cannot fight a tiger or carry a 2-ton shivling on their head. No one can anyway. But it has to at least seem believable. That's one reason I liked KGF as well. They did not bother giving that hero much of a gigantic, insanely physical looking look. He is just wearing a shirt. He has a kind of a good muscle. That's all. That's such a great thing. See, leftists always talk about unrealistic female body goals. Men don't complain about that, even though we have seen growing up He-Man and stuff. They only inspire us, and it's fine. But now it's important to remember that what John Abraham will inspire you to do is go into a gym and take up aesthetic fitness. And that's not the entirety of fitness. And I don't mean that John Abraham doesn't work hard. I'm just saying his direction is different, and that's not real functional strength. Real functional strength is when you will end up looking like, if you have real functional strength, you will end up looking like Prabhas in Baahubali or NTR in RRR. Both the heroes in RRR have so believable bodies. You can achieve that if you want to just think of how I look like them, and as opposed to what I can do with my body. It's very achievable. You don't have to take steroids for achieving those kinds of bodies. And RRR and SS Rajamouli deserves huge credit for giving and for normalizing these kinds of bodies of men in real action movies, because this is an actual strong person's body. John Abraham's body is not an actual functional strength person's body. Do you think Indian Army people look like John Abraham? Have you seen any athlete look like that? Cristiano Ronaldo has gigantic abs and clarified abs because either you are seeing him from a photo shoot where he has been dehydrated for 1 day, or you are seeing him after a match or between a match when he is dehydrated. That's not a normal look. Normal look is Prabhas's look.